What's going on, guys? Porcupine Theater here for my second book review here on this account. And the book that we're going to be reviewing is actually the first time that I'm going to be doing a crossover between books and movies, considering the book I'm reviewing was the book that the movie Shooter, starring Mark Wahlberg, was based off of, and that book is Point of Impact by Stephen Hunter. The book is about, close to 600 pages, 564 to be exact. A whole heck of a lot longer than the last book I reviewed, which, as you remember, was House and Philosophy. And you can find that video throughout the annals of my account. Now, Point of Impact is kind of an interesting case. Now, of course, most of us know that whenever you have a movie based off of a book, a lot of times the filmmakers take a great deal of liberty. This book was written and published and released in 1993, and the movie was released roughly about 9 years later, give or take. And obviously, there's been a lot of liberties done because of that. For one, there's a lot of modernization between the movie and the book. And for two, probably one of the most notable differences between Stephen Hunter's Point of Impact and the movie Shooter is actually Mark Wahlberg portraying Bob Lee Swagger. Now, in the book, Bob Lee Swagger is seen as a wily old coot. He's probably around 50 years old, maybe older. Has kind of a more of a Clint Eastwood vibe than really a Mark Wahlberg vibe. Of course, in the movie, they used Mark Wahlberg, and the result of what you got is somebody who is probably in the range of 30, 35, or 40, trying to portray a man that's about 20 years his senior. It really just doesn't work as well. Some of the lines that you see that are taken straight from the book really don't work that well. They did have to change some dialogue based on that. Now, the book itself can be a real page-turner. It's an extremely good thrill ride if you are into thrill rides, and it does have one hell of a lot of information in there whenever it regards to guns, shooting, rifles, and sniping. Stephen Hunter went to amazing lengths to really find out as much as he could about all of the different guns that he was talking about in the book, and he made sure that he double and triple checked his facts. You will see a lot of technical jargon in this book, and sometimes it will be very, very difficult to follow. In fact, if you're the type of person that needs to know exactly what's being talked about in the book, you may have to Google it or Wikipedia it or something like that. Of course, these are things that weren't around back in '93, so you sort of almost had to take his word for it. Now, as far as the plot line is concerned between Point of Impact and the movie Shooter, in case you don't know, the plot revolves around Bob Lee Swagger, who was a former sniper in the military, who was probably one of the most decorated snipers of his generation throughout the Vietnam War, and long after leaving the military and getting injured, was in seclusion and got drafted to participate in a study about rifles that ended up actually all being a cover for an attempt on the president. He was supposed to be the one to take the fall for the shot, which was taken by another man. The shot was not accurate, or so we thought. And what we saw was Bob Lee Swagger's attempt to maintain justice and clear his name. And we saw the existence of a former sniper who made a tragic mistake in 1988 by the name of Nick Memphis come back into the picture. He's kind of like one of those guys that you have in the CIA or in the business who just kind of has bad luck no matter where he goes. He's good at what he does, he's talented at what he does, but he just has bad luck. Now, that's the basic synopsis of the plot. The movie has a lot of special effects. The movie does have a lot of things that the book does have. There's many a similarity. However, there are some differences that do need to be addressed. Of course, I already addressed Mark Wahlberg. There are key little nitpick points that you can obviously see that where the filmmakers decided to take some special effects liberties and figured, well, if there's a scene going on here in the story, we're going to take it a little bit further. One big discrepancy between book and movie is whenever Bob Lee Swagger finally talks to the man who has been kind of the cornerstone of this whole entire setup. In the movie, there's a scene where Bob Lee Swagger doesn't kill him. Instead, the man kills himself. In the book, this does not happen. In fact, in the book, you don't even know whether or not this man died ever or not. However, it was kind of a very, very interesting addition that they put into the movie to try to kind of tie up loose ends and show Bob Lee Swagger as a little bit more of a man who would do anything that it took to clear his name. But you already kind of knew that. You saw the massacre in the middle part of the movie on the farm. You really didn't need to drive the fact home anymore, even though he was not the man who put the bullet in the setup man, in the cornerstone man. Another thing that has obviously been altered is the ending. Now, of course, in the end, everything is found out about. He's able to get his girl back. She's not hurt. She's not killed. And in the movie, there is a hearing, and there's a hearing in the book as well. But after the fact, you don't see in the book the last scene in the movie where you see Bob Lee Swagger going to the cabin where the United States Senator and a few of his lackeys are hanging out at, and the main protagonist is hanging out at, or excuse me, the main antagonist is hanging out at. Got my literary terms incorrect, but and basically goes on a rampage there. You do not see that in the book. That does not happen in the book. That is movie only. Where would I rank these books and movies? The book itself is, like I said, a very, very good page-turner. It does keep you guessing. If you saw the movie first, you can see some of the things coming, obviously. However, there are a lot of things that will come as a surprise to you. There is definitely a difference between watching a movie and reading a book 100%. It's the reason why I stress doing both. Because oftentimes you'll find that the book is better or whatever, and I think it's just because we tend to really want to see a good book reflected in a good movie, and this is something that rarely happens. And not to mention, considering there is not an alternate universe here, it's completely, based on the universe that was portrayed in Point of Impact with just some minor discrepancies. You really wanted to stay as time-honored to the book as possible. Something that was not done in the Bourne saga by Robert Ludlum, which is something that I'll be reviewing much later on once I finish up the Bourne Identity. The movie itself is very good. I wouldn't consider it a 5-star movie by any means. I would probably give it about 3 to 3.5 stars out of 5. It's tolerable, and it's something that will keep you roped in. It will keep you watching. And for all the crap that I give Mark Wahlberg for trying to portray somebody who's 20 years his senior, he doesn't do that bad of a job. I like Mark Wahlberg, so maybe that could be a little bit of user bias. But he worked with what he could. I just think that somebody else may have been better. The book itself, though, like I said, real page-turner, definitely comes highly recommended to anybody who likes suspense, who likes thrillers, who likes novels about the CIA, the FBI, conspiracies to kill the president. If you like Stephen Hunter, of course, this is one of his quintessential works. If you like Tom Clancy, you'll love this book. If you like Stephen Kuntz, you'll love this book. There are many, many authors that if you are into them, like Vince Flynn, that if you are into these types of authors and you have not read Point of Impact yet by Stephen Hunter, you definitely should pick it up. As for Shooter, I would recommend that if you really want to enjoy this movie, watch it before you read the book. You will enjoy it a lot more than if you were to read the book first and then watch the movie, in my personal opinion, because I believe that if I would have read the book first, then saw the movie, I probably would have been very disappointed. But at any rate, guys, like I said, Shooter, it's a movie that you definitely want to check out if you got the time. It's not something that you have to drop the ball on whatever you're doing. Check it out. But Stephen Hunter's Point of Impact, the book itself, this book right here, I highly recommend that all of you read it. Very, very good book. It's not your cup of tea. It's not your cup of tea. Then just throw it away like that. However, if this is the genre and style that you like, definitely pick it up. Definitely give it a read. You can typically find it pretty cheap. That's what I got to say about it. What did you think?